Ladies and gentlemen, it is that wonderful time of the year again. We are going to kick off the road to WrestleMania. And in the immortal words of Howard Finkel, it is now time for the Royal Rumble! Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Essential Wrestling Podcast Royal Rumble Special. It is that great time of year. Football playoffs are right in between the conference championships and the Super Bowl. That season just flew by. We are here today. We are powered by the EasternObserver.com. You can taste the power. John DeConnie, you can taste the power.
Indeed.
Oh, it tastes good. Oh, the power tastes good. Of course, you're going to see our statistics and graphics later on in the show, presented by MinutesToBellTime.com. And of course, the Essential Wrestling Podcast is always sponsored by ProWrestlingPick'em.com. Play against your friends, play against the universe. And guys, she'll like it too. All right, make sure you go on today. Create a pool with your friends. Join us. These are going to be the picks that we're making in the Essential Wrestling Podcast pool. Please make sure you join us and prove that you are the best. My name is Karl, and as you can see, we are going 6 strong here today. We are all excited for the Royal Rumble. We are amped. We are ready to roll. As I introduce you to everybody, we're going to do the same thing we did with SummerSlam and the same thing we did with Survivor Series. We're going to talk about our favorite memories of Royal Rumbles past. Ryan Joy, the owner, the founder of MinutesToBellTime.com, the host of the daily wrestling news show that you can see right here on the Eastern Observer Family Networks every Monday through Thursday at 10 a.m. But before you get to your Rumble Memory Pass, Ryan, you got the post show coming up after the Rumble event tomorrow night.
Yes, we do. So I don't know what time that's going to be. It's going to be 15 minutes after the show goes off the air. We'll assemble some notes, and we'll get the Rumble post show going. It's the first time in the history of the Eastern Observer networks that we're going to have a post show. So looking forward to it.
So Ryan, I say Royal Rumble. The immediate thing that comes to my mind, and a lot of the guys our age. Unfortunately, Tyler, I don't mean to throw ageism at you here, but I know you're a little bit younger than us. There's a one Rumble that comes to my mind. I'm sure John DeConnie, Gary John Smith can agree to this. And with a tear in my eye, this was the greatest moment of that guy's life.
That's right. Royal Rumble 1992. There you go. Here's your VHS tape. Ric Flair went from 30. You got it for number 3. You got to be fair to Flair all the way to the end. And like you said, with a tear in his eyes, it was the greatest day of his life. Roddy Piper had the opportunity to win 2 titles that day. He got 1, not 2. Great show. At the end, it was Hogan. There you go. Hogan got thrown out. He pulled Sid out, and then Flair dumps him over. This Royal Rumble was for the vacant WWF Championship. So Ric Flair becomes there you go. There he is with his WWF Championship, and it was the lead graphic for this episode. It's an iconic Royal Rumble. If you're watching this and you have not seen that, make sure you watch it before you get to tomorrow night.
Yeah, it was an absolutely great time. Hogan once again, always showing sportsmanship when he loses, Hulk Hogan. But then also you wanted to talk about the history-making Rumble we had in 2018. Absolutely, I absolutely loved every second of this Rumble.
Yeah, this was celebrated. The 2018 Women's Royal Rumble. You have Asuka winning, but it was a celebration the whole way through. When Stephanie McMahon originally announced it, all the women that got to participate in it, they've run documentaries since. They brought in alumni. It was a great show. Asuka won. She should have won, and she went on to WrestleMania. This was the heat of her streak on the main roster. So, I loved this Rumble. I think it was the way it should have gone. Also, Shinsuke Nakamura won the Rumble in 2018.
Yeah.
So we actually had a Wrestle Kingdom rematch there. Yes, and we have the debut of Ronda Rousey. She doesn't say much. She just points to a sign. That's what Asuka should have been doing at that particular moment. But before you move on to somebody else, though, I just want to let you guys all know that this is every man for himself. There are no friends, only foes. And if by chance, we have a strong alliance here, but if it by chance it comes down to me and you guys in there, I'm throwing your asses out. I'm going to WrestleMania.
You got to be fair to Gary, though, here. As I said, going back to the 93 Rumble, Bobby Heenan just absolutely made that Royal Rumble as memorable as it was. Down on the screen immediately to my 6 o'clock, we have the first ever pro wrestling pick'em champion, the living legend, John DeConnie. John, how are you today? Happy Royal Rumble to you.
Happy Rumble to you as well, sir. I'm a happy man this time of year. This is my of the year.
So you were actually
great to be here,
attended. I believe you and John Smith both attended the same Royal Rumble. I don't think you guys knew each other at that point in time, but they were at the Garden a couple times, and you want to talk about one of them?
Yes, Rumble 2000. I was there with my little brother Chris, which is the way I know Karl through my brother. This was MSG. This was the old setup. No big Titantron, no big stage. You had the hard camera right opposite that entryway that leads to the locker rooms. Show starts off with Kurt Angle in the ring, the most rated real athlete in WWF at the time. Angle is still undefeated at this moment. He comes out and trash talks Patrick Ewing and the Knicks, and then tells his unknown opponent that good for him. This is going to be something he can tell his grandchildren about. That they got those to an Olympic gold medalist, and the heartbeat hits, the lights go dim. There's an orange glow, and we have the debut of Taz, who hits a couple of crazies and himself outside the ring onto what looks like asphalt leading through the entryway. But eventually they wind up back in the ring. Tazplex, Taz mission. And even though Lawler put it over as an illegal hold, Taz gets the win, snaps the undefeated streak. We get Angle later back in the locker room, all goofy, still trying to figure out whether he won or lost. But that was, the beginning of a very short but very fun run for Taz, which is always close to my heart, being a huge ACW fan back in the day. And the rest of the show, I didn't, until I went back and watched it, I didn't remember just how fantastic this show was. You had the Hardys and the Dudleys with a you must put your opponents through 2 consecutive tables match, which saw Bubba fall from the heavens through 2 tables, and then Jeff Hardy almost follow him down to put Devon through another table to win that one. We had the Miss Rumble contest. As little said about that is for the better. We had Jericho and Ina as the co-intercontinental champions, bickering like an old married couple in a 3-way dance against each other and Bob Holly. Jericho would eventually come out on top there, become the undisputed intercontinental. We had Michael Cole backstage, and in my favorite moment of the night, The Rock, who had guaranteed his victory, is backstage being interviewed by Cole. He shushes him and embarrasses him a little bit because that's just what Rock did back then. But Rock completely disregards the Big Show, who was another one of the odds-on favorites that night, and tells the world that he is positive he's going to win as long as he can get by the really, really, people that are on his radar that could really cause him some trouble, Kelly and Headbanger Mosh. we go from there to New Age Outlaws defending the titles against the Acolytes, and then we get into a, by God, bloody mess of a street fight, an absolute classic, with Triple H retaining against Cactus Jack. Just the barbed wire wrapped 2x4, the biggest bag of tacks I've ever seen in my life. And it took 2 pedigrees face first onto those tacks for Triple H to retain. And then he gets carted off on a stretcher. Cactus Jack hasn't had enough. He pulls him back on the stretcher, hits him again with the 2x4 to the chagrin of Stephanie McMahon. And then we get to the Rumble. Lots of fun stuff in the Rumble. We get Bob Backlund looking like he borrowed a pair of basketball shorts from somebody in the back. It looked like, he was not really prepared to go out there. That not look like it to me. But if you've ever been to a show in Madison Square Garden, he's usually somewhere in the fans, hanging out, running around the building, talking to fans, and chopping it up with 10 and 12-year-olds. So after his elimination, he left through the fans again, back in fashion. We had Rikishi, Scotty 2 Hotty, and Brian Christopher dancing together in the ring before Rikishi took his 2 buddies and tossed out. We had the Mean Street Pop from Rook and Bradshaw. We had Kai and Tai, who found out earlier in the day that they were not in the Rumble as they had expected. So they decided to interfere about 4 different times. But when it all came right down to it, we had The Rock taking Big Show out in, unfortunately, a botched finish. But because I was opposite entryway, that was basically my view of the match, only much further up. You couldn't tell from that side of the ring that Rock clearly landed both feet down as Big Show was coming out. But this is the WWE, so never let the facts get in the way of a good storyline. The Rock is your Royal Rumble champion.
Yeah, specific shout out to Taka Michinoku. I believe he separated his shoulder the first time Kai tried to interfere, and he landed just awkwardly on his side and completely popped his shoulder out. That's the last you saw of him for the rest of the night. Funaki went out by himself, but they just kept on replaying it and replaying it and replaying it, and it didn't get easier to watch either time they were doing it. So shout out to him. He took a serious one for the team. Taka Michinoku, wow. To John DeConnie's immediate right, all the way overseas. It is Saturday night over there. The icon, Gary Mehaffy, he's staying up late with us. He's not partying at the local breweries with Rampage Brown looking to pick fights. He's here to talk Royal Rumble with us. Gary, top of the evening to you.
Evening, gentlemen. Always good to be back.
So, Gary, I say Royal Rumble. You say...
It had to be 1995 for me. Not just because you had, obviously, the Bulldog was in the last 2. Not because of that. Although there was one thing actually I've been thinking about since that was a standout at the actual show. And it was funny that was the show where after Bam Bam Bigelow lost his match, he and LT went at it. And I have to be honest, I hadn't a clue who Lawrence Taylor was. I'm going, what? Who is it? Because I read the magazines, I knew, but I had a clue who he was. It was only afterwards I went, oh, he's an American football player? All right, okay. I didn't know how big he was. I knew nothing. I was like, so there was that. But for me, the actual, in the Rumble itself, when you had Shawn Michaels and the Bulldog going in 1 and 2, and then being, hey, I'm like, Mick Foley based himself on me, you're right, wearing his plaid, that's what it. When you had, they went in 1 and 2, and then they ended up 1 and 2 at the last two entrants in it, and you had Bulldog throwing Shawn over the top, and Shawn doing his patented dangle with 1 foot touching the floor, and then Skin the Cat, as they would have said, came back in, and as Bulldog was celebrating, Shawn threw him over, knocked him in the air and hit him over the top. And it's one of those times, actually, every now and again, for us in the UK, Vince kind of gave us, just dangled that cart in front of us that he was just going to go with Davey Boy. And it never quite happened. But for me, it was just an absolutely fantastic one. Yeah, and that kind of maybe that's why 19-year-old me liked it so much.
Yeah.
Not because of Shawn Michaels, can I just say, just for the record, obviously something like that, but for Pamela behind him. But yeah, no, I mean, it was the show that stood out for me because those two were then at the start and were still there at the end, and I just loved that.
I love it, Gary, how overseas in Ireland, you know who Pamela Anderson was. Well, you had no idea who probably was arguably one of the greatest linebackers in football history. You had no idea who Lawrence Taylor was, so that is absolutely incredible. And you were telling me in an email, Gary, there was one more thing you wanted to talk about. You had a funny story from '91.
Oh, yeah. And the 1991 Royal Rumble, it's funny actually because it's ironic with my dad's not well, he's in hospital at the minute. And actually it's one of his things as far as wrestling goes. I remember back in the days when you used to be able to go to the video store and hire videos, we hired the Royal Rumble 91 to watch. And it had the one where you had Bushwhacker Luke, who came straight in and then got over the ropes and was straight out and just kept doing the walk. And any time that my dad sees that the Royal Rumble's on, if we were at home watching it, or when we were at a house show in Belfast and the Bushwhackers came out, he would turn around and go, "Do you remember the time that he just did?" And it's the one thing he remembers. Like, he grew up in World of Sport, British wrestling, but if you ask him WWE, oh no, it doesn't matter what, it's Bushwhacker Luke going straight in and straight out and just marching back down. He thought it was the funniest thing he'd ever seen.
Oh, it was absolutely hysterical. He set the record at that point, which has since been well, actually, no, he didn't because the Warlord had it. But it's funny because I wanted to try to find a picture for you to put up, and there's no pictures because it was such a short thing. It's all GIFs. It's all like 5-second GIFs of him getting in, Earthquake grabbing him, and then just dumping him right across the other side of the ring. Right. And then, he just kept on marching right back at it. So we're going to stick to the bottom of the screen. John Smith, the Essential Wrestling Podcast, NXT senior correspondent. John Smith, I know we didn't know each other back in 1994. We weren't doing picks together like we have been for the past 5 years, but who was your pick in the 1994 Royal Rumble again?
Oh, well, 94 Rumble, I was at a sleepover with like about 8 other guys. And I was in 4th grade, and my pick was Adam Bomb. And much to my chagrin, he did not even make it close to the end. Yeah, you got to give me some leeway because I was so young. I was like 9 or 10 years old. But aside from that, I mean, Luger and Brett obviously won that one. The match wasn't that great. Before that, though, Yokozuna beat The Undertaker in a casket match.
Yeah.
I don't care how many people helped him. It's on the record books that Yokozuna beat The Undertaker in a casket match. So the Royal Rumble, though, that really sticks out to me is the 1999 Royal Rumble, though, because that's the one that got me back into wrestling. I had fallen out of it, in middle school ages. I was too cool for that. But I always loved the Rumble, so I asked my mom if I could order the Rumble. And then I see Mick Foley getting destroyed by The Rock with his hands behind his back, handcuffed. Just chair shot after chair shot, smacking him across the face. And I had no idea what the hell I was watching. That was not what I was used to. I had never seen like old school, like deathmatch stuff, none of that. So then I see the Rumble after that where it's Vince McMahon and Stone Cold. I'm like, what the hell is Vince McMahon doing? And it was the height of Stone Cold. I missed about a year and a half of like the beginning of Stone Cold, but I was sold on it. And from that point on, I haven't missed a Royal Rumble since.
Yeah, right here we have the end. Right, it actually came down. It was just like what Gary was saying with Shawn and the Bulldog. Austin and Vince were numbers 1 and 2. Came down to there at the end. Rocky got involved, was holding Austin over just like Hogan did with Sid Justice, and then Vince dumped him out. And there's your Royal Rumble winner right there, 1999. And a lot of people would argue, I don't know if anyone can argue this, Vince McMahon probably had the greatest strategy in Royal Rumble history of all time. He lasted 56 minutes, and I want to say about 54 of them he was doing commentary. So good job on Vince, smart planning, and that was it. He didn't end up challenging The Rock, obviously, and ended up being Stone Cold at WrestleMania 15. And then last but not least, to my immediate right, I guess, on the screen, our sheriff, our creator, the CEO of the Eastern Observer. Taste the power, Ty. You can taste it.
Tasting power.
There you go. Tyler, Adelle, our sheriff. We missed you the past couple of weeks. I know you've had some webcam problems. We were glad to have you solved, those problems solved by now. How is everything going?
Yeah, it's good. Definitely had some webcam issues. By issues, I mean I stomped it out with my foot when I was cleaning my desk. So had to wait for this one to come in. It's very nice and clear. But yeah, everything's good. Look, it's Rumble season. It's Road to WrestleMania season. It doesn't get much better than this to be a wrestling fan.
Nope, this is it. So, Tyler, like I said, you were we got a couple of years on you, pal.
Yeah.
You know, when we were talking Survivor Series, we all like, oh, the 1990 or the 1987 or the 1994. You're chiming in. Your childhood was the 05-06 era, and I believe that's exactly where you're headed for this.
Yeah. So, like you were saying, obviously you all have a little bit of time on me. You know, I've seen all of the Rumbles you guys have mentioned. I appreciate them as a fan. I don't appreciate them probably like I would had I experienced them live and firsthand, but they're what makes the Royal Rumble and what makes wrestling today what it is. But for me, being that I came into wrestling around 8-9 years old, 2005 and 2006 are what really stick out to me. 2005, Royal Rumble was one of the first shows I watched live. There's a couple of different things going on in there. The infamous double elimination with Cena and Batista at the time, followed within a couple of minutes by the infamous Vince McMahon double quad tear in the ring. See Vince right here in the corner, sitting down, all angry, kind of looking like a Muppet or something, just can't move. It obviously, we all know the story. Batista goes on to win the Rumble, and despite Cena being eliminated, they still both go on to headline Mania later that year and both win titles for their respective brands. Outside of the Royal Rumble, though, the entire card itself was a really good show for me. You had Undertaker and Heidenreich in the casket match. You had JBL, Big Show, Kurt Angle in the triple threat match. Triple H and Randy Orton. Edge, Shawn Michaels, Maven and Rhino. That's a match. But that was one of the first shows I watched live. And then 2006 stands out for me because obviously we know later in 2005, wrestling lost Eddie Guerrero. It was played into the storyline with Rey Mysterio being the ultimate underdog. He goes on to last 62 minutes and 12 seconds, a record that stood, I don't remember if it still stands or if it no longer stands, but that, it's a record that most people probably thought was never going to get touched. And again, he goes on to win WrestleMania. He beats Kurt Angle, Randy Orton in a triple threat match. He wins the World Heavyweight title. But again, up and down, the card was amazing. Boogeyman and JBL was very entertaining. John Cena and Edge for the WWE title was entertaining, and it was just the beginning of their almost year-long feud that continued on for years after, periodically. And then you had the, to me, epic Kurt Angle and Mark Henry moment, and the match wasn't even the epic part. It was The Undertaker coming in, blowing the ring up with lightning after the match. So you can't get better than those two.
You know what? Like I said, unfortunately, Rey Mysterio's 62 minutes, 12 seconds pretty much is untouchable unless you do a 50-man Royal Rumble and you have the guy who draws number one go all the way to the end. So we will get to those numbers in a little bit. I have all those stats. I'm a big numbers guy when it comes to the Royal Rumble now, but I'm going to take a little bit of time just to go over my favorites. Obviously, 92 is my favorite. Everything you guys talked about, I've loved every single one of them. I remember, in the 1999 Rumble, I was a huge Triple H fan back then. I remember, I was cheering for him. He was my pick to win that Rumble. He was my pick to win in every Rumble, to tell you the truth. But a Rumble that he wasn't in, he actually had a championship match at, so he wasn't in the Rumble. The 2001 Royal Rumble, cover to cover, I will argue with anybody that this was probably the best Rumble show that they have ever put on. It was right at the height of the Attitude Era, and Edge and Christian fought the Dudleys for the tag title matches. Those are the top two teams in the world at that point in time. Benoit and Jericho had a ladder match for the Intercontinental title. That was insane. Triple H, John Smith, a little heel-on-heel action for you. Kurt Angle defended the WWF Championship against Triple H, and we're like, oh my God. But then again, what that did was that just threw all of the faces that we have. They were all going at it in the actual Royal Rumble. So it started with the Hardys. They eliminated themselves. Drew Carey was a surprise entrant. He was promoting his own improv show on PPV. So he decided to ask Vince McMahon for some advice. And Vince is like, well, just go in the Rumble. So that's what Drew did. He ran into Kane, tried to pay him off. That didn't work. It turned into a hardcore Royal Rumble after that. Raven had all the toys. Blackman had his sticks. They were going nuts. Undertaker was on a bike. Rikishi, he did it for The Rock. He just turned heel. Rocky was in there. The Honky Tonk Man played his song. Kane set the record at the time. 11 eliminations this Royal Rumble, but unfortunately it was not to be. He did place second, unfortunately, but Austin hit him in the head with a chair a couple times, then eliminating, where Austin actually set the record. This was his third Royal Rumble win, still to this day the most in history. I want to just read off a list here. Funny story, actually. The 1990 Royal Rumble, before I get to my list, I don't have any graphics for it. Fun story. This was supposed to be my first Royal Rumble live. I had no idea. I never saw the 89 Rumble. I was just a 10-year-old kid. I was excited. I had all my friends coming over. My parents called the cable company. My report card came out 3 days earlier. I got grounded. I had to call my friends. Nobody was able to come over. I missed the whole thing. Actually, I think I do have the graphic for it. Oh, yeah. So here's the 1990 Rumble. But for those of you who watch the Essential Wrestling podcast, I do like top 30 favorite WrestleMania matches of all time. This past week was number 10. It was Hogan and Warrior, and I had to miss the setup for it. And I was, oh my God, I was absolutely distraught. I was so upset. But I got grounded. I missed it. Apparently, my brother watched it because they didn't cancel on the case. My brother came in like 2 minutes later after the show was over. I'm in bed crying. Hogan won. Like, he's even worse because I was such a Warrior fan. So he knew how to get to me. But just real quick, the people that were in the 1990 Royal Rumble. Trivia question. All right, Brian Joy, I'm going to throw this at you. You always throw trivia at us. I'll throw this at you. 30 men were in this Royal Rumble. How many Hall of Famers? 17. You are correct. 17. All right, so here we go. Ted DiBiase, Coco Beware, Jake the Snake Roberts, Randy Savage, Roddy Piper, Bret Hart, Dusty Rhodes, Andre the Giant, John Smith, Jimmy Superfly Snuka, Jim the Anvil Neidhart, Ultimate Warrior, Tito Santana, Reba, Honky Tonk Man, Hulk Hogan, Shawn Michaels, Rick Rude, Mr. Perfect. This has to be the most star-studded Rumble. 2001 was up there. There was the one that was recent with Goldberg and Lesnar. That was pretty star-studded as well. But 17 Hall of Famers in a 30-man Royal Rumble. And to tell you the truth, Demolition's on this list. I know they're in some kind of legal battle. They should be in the Hall of Fame. And I am on the bandwagon. Rick Martel should be in the Hall of Fame too. So there's 20 right there out of the 30. I'm not sure too many arguments will be made for the Red Rooster, who was also in this Royal Rumble. Unfortunately, though, when you watch this, you do get a little bit teary-eyed. I tracked this too tonight when I watched it. 13 of the 30 are not with us any longer, so it's a little bit sad at the same time. And then the last Rumble I want to let everybody know about.
You get Tony Schiavone on commentary, Al.
Yeah, you kind of tune out Schiavone. Ventura does a pretty good job drowning him out. 2004 Royal Rumble, there were 2 men in history to draw number 1 and win it. Gary talked about Shawn Michaels in the beginning. Chris Benoit did it this year. You'll never see it on the WWE Network, or they'll never mention it, but he did it. Randy Orton drew number 2. This was another one. This was an absolutely star-studded Royal Rumble. This was the first Royal Rumble probably since like 1990. Actually, I shouldn't say that because I don't know if Duggan wasn't in 90, but there was no Royal Rumble winners previously in this Royal Rumble. There was going to be the first time since 1990, a first-time winner. But the fun thing was Goldberg had won a Battle Royal on Raw. He was allowed to enter number 30. Everybody just assumed that he was the odds-on favorite to win it. He had an altercation with Brock Lesnar, who was WWE champion at the time, backstage. Brock didn't like it. F5 to Goldberg, who was then ceremoniously dumped by our Olympic hero. And this was one of 4 losses Goldberg had in that run. He only lost 4 times in about 35 matches. The Royal Rumble was one of them. Triple H were the other 3. Good trivia question there. And like I said, Chris Benoit, it came down to Chris Benoit and Big Show. Along with Chris Jericho, along with Kurt Angle, Rob Van Dam. There were a lot of smaller guys in this too, other than Big Show. A lot of smaller mid-card guys, so it was a lot of fun. And I go back and watch it. You won't be disappointed. Ernest the Cat Miller does a dance routine in the middle of the Rumble as well. And somebody call my mama. All right, so with that, we are going to get right into – where's that page? Oh, there it is. We're going to get right into this year's Royal Rumble pay-per-view. Again, please go to ProWrestlingPick'em.com, create a pool with your friends, or you can join us in the Essential Wrestling Podcast pool. Here are our standings right now. I have not been on air for the standings in quite a while, so I really do need to toot my own horn here. That is not a typo. 31-0 since the turn of the new year. I have caught and surpassed John DeConnie to take my rightful place back in first place. I need to enjoy this while I have it because I think my Rumble picks are a little outlandish, and I'm going to be coming down to earth pretty quickly. In the midst of that 31-0, I had 5 perfect pay-per-views, including 2 Impact shows, New Year's Evil and both nights of New Year's Smash. Ryan Joy chimed in with 3 perfect pay-per-views as well. Both Johns chimed in with 2 more each, so everyone is progressing. Tyler, you're not an Impact guy, so you know what? We'll give you a pass on that one. That's why I think your record was a little bit low. But Tyler, you were doing very well in WWE. I thought you were doing better than this. Anyway, John DeConnie is our current WWE leader. Ryan Joy, 290. John Smith, solid 33-20 record. Myself, Tyler, and Gary need to get some work done to get back into this. And for those of you who know the scoring at Pro Wrestling Pick'em, the big 4 shows, these are the shows you do it at. There are 25 points for the WWE and Universal Championship matches, 15 points for all the other title matches, 5 points for non-title matches, of which there are not any of them on this show, so that'll be irrelevant for the time being. The Royal Rumble matches themselves will be worth 20 points, plus we will select our final 4 combatants. If we get any of those right, it does not matter where they place. They just have to be in the final 4. If we get any wrestler correct on that, that'll be in a bonus 10 points, not being against or counting against our perfect pay-per-view bonus, which is 25 points. The kickoff matches will count, but they have not announced any. And, of course, The Miz, once again, is lurking around. So, the Universal Championship on SmackDown. The Scrap Daddy, here's a little story about this, turned into a last man standing match. The Scrap Daddy Postman Pierce was the original scheduled opponent for Roman Reigns by virtue of winning the #1 Contenders Gauntlet match on SmackDown. Card was subject to change, so that's how we landed on Kevin Owens. He will be the suitable replacement for the Scrap Daddy. In 2017, the Royal Rumble, this is the rematch. I believe this is the first ever championship rematch in Royal Rumble history. This is going to be Owens-Roman 2. Kevin Owens defeated Roman Reigns in 2017 to retain the Universal Championship in a no disqualification match where Chris Jericho was in a shark cage hanging above the ring. The match ended when Braun Strowman, I guess he was not done with Roman Reigns yet. He came out, attacked Roman during the match, and that led to a Kevin Owens victory. More recently, where am I right now? More recently, Roman Reigns defeated Kevin Owens at TLC in a tables, ladders, and chairs match to retain the Universal Championship. 5 days later on Christmas Day, 3.3 million viewers watched Roman Reigns do it again, but this time in a steel cage. The Universal Champion is 5-0 in Royal Rumble history. In 2020, Bray Wyatt defeated Daniel Bryan. The previous 3 years, 2019, 2018, and the Greatest Royal Rumble were all wins by Brock Lesnar. And in 2017, as I just mentioned, Kevin Owens got the win on Roman Reigns for this same exact belt. So here we go. We have Roman Reigns. We have Kevin Owens. In recent memory, as I mentioned, Roman Reigns is 2-0 against Kevin Owens. John Smith, as we all know, it is so tough to beat a person 3 times in one season. Do you think this is going to be the toughest challenge for Roman Reigns?
There's no way Kevin Owens is winning this match. I don't think anybody in the right mind is going to pick Kevin Owens. Sorry, excuse me if I'm insulting any of you guys, but it just doesn't make sense. So yeah, no, I'm going with Roman.
Okay, Gary, we're going to keep going clockwise here. I'm sorry, regular clockwise, right? Not counter. Counterclockwise. There we go. Gary, who do you got in this one?
Yeah, I'm with John. I can't see. I mean, as good as Kevin's promos in the last 2 weeks have been, and they've been brilliant, and I'm a big Kevin Owens fan, but I just can't see any reason why Roman Reigns still won't be at the head of the table after this. So Roman Reigns it is.
All right, John DeConnie. What do you got?
As much as I would like to make an argument for Kevin Owens with the excellent promo work and excellently planned attack on a night where he wasn't supposed to be in the building and all that, I just don't see any. There's just too many storylines for Roman going to WrestleMania as the Universal Champion. So he is my pick.
All right, Tyler, that's 3 for Goldberg. I'm sorry, 3 for Roman Reigns, not Goldberg. Although that may be coming later. My bad. Now, Travis just put on a count on. He was bashing the Click for booking themselves to beat Goldberg back in 2004, which I laughed at and smiled. And according to some people on Ryan's conversation thread, or with my buddy BJ Pavanka, they ruined wrestling.
Yeah, I mean, you got 3 votes for Roman so far. Make it 4. It's just, with circumstances we're going to touch on a little bit later, there's just no way that Roman Reigns did not win this match.
All right, Ryan. You got to be different.
Well, listen, guys. Kevin Owens is pro wrestling fandom's everyman. He's our guy, right? I mean, he talks like us. He looks like us. If there's going to be anybody that we get to see and rally around to beat Roman Reigns, it's Kevin Owens. Having said that, I'll pick Roman Reigns.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. And that funny joke, like I said, John Smith and I, we're big football fans. We were in the car driving on the radio, and that was the argument for Tom Brady and the Buccaneers to beat the Saints because it's tough to beat a team 3 times in one season. It actually isn't that tough. The 2-0 team, the sweeping team, is actually 14-8. So it happens more often than what people think. So I know this isn't football, but I will go with 15-8. Roman Reigns completes the sweep. There's absolutely zero reason to take the belt off him even for a minute. Like, there's no reason to. I don't even see him losing to past Mania. So just get this match out of the way. Hopefully have a little more intriguing conversation coming up in our next match. For the first time ever at the Royal Rumble event, the WWE Women's Tag Team Championships will be on the line. Charlotte's been having some issues with Lacey Evans as of recent, and her father. So, I mean, Lacey is what Lacey's doing is wrong, because her and Rick are both married. But I'll say this: Rick has every right to be angry with Charlotte. If I ever talk to my dad the way she does, well, I grew up in the '80s and where it was acceptable to beat the crap out of your kids. So I guess consider herself lucky. Asuka's having some recent issues with Alexa Bliss. I don't see anything going forward with this because Alexa is pretty wrapped up with Conquistador Trace at the moment. Her thing with Asuka is maybe just a way to look Alexa look strong by pinning Asuka clean. And then when she challenged for the Raw title, she got the RKO. So Alexa's looking strong going into this despite that. They've appeared twice on SmackDown. Both matches resulted in wins as a result of a code breaker into the natural selection combination. They defeated Nia and Shayna to win the tag team championships at TLC with Charlotte's surprise return as Asuka's mystery partner. Nia and Shayna Baszler decided last Monday that they wanted the rematch, so here we are. Also, we will mention that later on in the night that all three of these four women will actually be in the Royal Rumble match. Asuka will have the Rumble off as Raw Women's Champion. She does not need to compete, but Charlotte, Shayna, and Nia Jax will all be doing pulling double duty tomorrow night. So, Tyler, we're going to start with you one. I know you love Nia Jax more than anybody here, so that's why I kind of wanted to start with you on this one.
Yeah, my all-time favorite. I actually did have to think about this match a little bit because there is a couple of different ways I could see this going down. I could see Asuka and Charlotte winning and going into the WrestleMania time period is a nice, strong tag team with absolutely nothing in the middle of them whatsoever. But I could also see Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler winning, causing the beginning of the rift between Asuka and Charlotte to set up that Raw Women's title match. With everything with Charlotte and Lacey Evans going on, that's just kind of an unnecessary wrench that kind of made things a little bit more confusing. So I'm going to go with the beginning of the rift between tag champions, and I'm going to go with Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler to win, as much as it kills me to say it.
All right, Ryan Joy, you are up now. Do we have new champions? Do we have remaining champions? Rifts are flying around. What do you got here?
I'm putting my vote in the same place Tyler did. I have the exact same opinion that I think Shayna and Nia are going to win these titles back, and this will set up a Mania match between Charlotte and Asuka.
All right, so John Smith, in WrestleMania history, just to piggyback off that, it is not unheard of if Charlotte and Asuka get that far. It is not unheard of for tag team champions to face each other at WrestleMania. It has happened twice before. At WrestleMania 21 with Rey Mysterio and Eddie Guerrero. That was well documented. They wore the belts to the ring. But what a lot of people don't remember is that WrestleMania 23 in the main event, John Cena and Shawn Michaels were also the World Tag Team Champions. So it has happened before. It hasn't happened in about 12 years or so.
Yeah, I don't see it happening this year. But, I don't see any way that Nia and Shayna don't win this, because I think it's all, like you said, leading up to Charlotte and Asuka for the main belt, and you don't want to tie up the tag belts with, like, in the same feud as the world belt. You want to give more spotlight to more women. So I like the rift to be starting today. I mean, it doesn't have to start this weekend, but it makes the most sense.
All right, Gary. So we got 3 here for new champions.
Well, I'm obviously out of the 6 of us like the odd man out because you're all in the States and I'm over in Ireland and I'm devilishly handsome and you're well yeah, but we are
Heavenly handsome.
Right? but I mean I love Shayna Baszler. I think Shayna's great. She looks edgy. She looks dangerous. Just is dangerous. But I really that's why. I mean, for me, I'm sticking with Asuka and Charlotte to take it. I think the rift will still come, as we were talking about in the green room before we started. There's still 2 pay-per-views between now and then to kind of start the breakup. So I'm going for Charlotte and Asuka to retain.
All right, John DeConnie, you're not a fan of anything. Actually, you're a fan of Shayna. But say Nia and Charlotte. I don't think anybody's, other than myself, I don't think anybody's fans of any of these women here.
I love Asuka.
Oh, that's good.
No, Charlotte and Nia. More Charlotte and Nia, but anyway. John DeConnie.
Yes, I am with the first 3 gents that I believe there will be a title change here, and whether it's due to a rift between Asuka and Charlotte that eventually leads to another match for them, which I think will, whether it happens here or whether Lacey gets involved and pulls Charlotte away from the ring, leaving Asuka on her own. I think Shayna and Nia get it done here, and we have new women's tag champs.
All right, I'm going to go with Gary, actually. I'm taking Charlotte and Asuka for the title retention, only because 3.3 million viewers on SmackDown once Charlotte shows up. I don't think that's a coincidence. I think that they need those belts, get those 2 popping back and forth like Bayley and Sasha did over the summer. Maybe finally drop him to the Riot Squad or drop him to somebody over there. Or worst case scenario, how about Charlotte and Asuka versus the winners of the Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic here? Like, I would love to see Casey and Caden, who are the odds-on favorites, obviously, to win that tournament, to be the ones that take the belts off. I don't know. I just think there's more you can do here if Asuka and Charlotte retain for the next month or so. I said maybe let somebody else out. Let the Riot Squad have them walking into Mania. I think that would absolutely make their careers. So I'm going to go with Charlotte and Asuka.
Yeah, Al, one of the things I forgot to mention, and I don't know if we all didn't bring it up on purpose or not, but Charlotte and Asuka also sets up that sweet WrestleMania 34 rematch.
Well, yeah, I think we're all headed.
I forgot about that completely.
Yeah, and I think that's going to be the topic of the conversation, Ty, once we talk about the Women's Royal Rumble, because Charlotte is someone you have to think about. I think Charlotte and Asuka, yeah, that rematch. I don't want to say it's inevitable, but I think we're all leaning towards that. But
yeah, I mean, I'm not think about it, but I get where you're going with.
Yeah, so from the Women's Tag Team Championships and the Raw Women's Champion, we're going to turn to the SmackDown Women's Championship match that was announced last night. This all started back when Carmella began attacking Sasha Banks right at the end of Sasha's feud with Bayley. The first time Carmella broke the bottle of champagne over Sasha Banks' back was actually after a SmackDown Women's Championship match they had on the December 11th episode of SmackDown, in which Sasha Banks was disqualified for beating the holy hell out of Carmella and not stopping after the referee's 5 count. Sasha Banks then defeated Carmella at the TLC pay-per-view to retain the title after a Banks statement submission. Recently, though, this feud has somewhat been more about Sasha and Carmella's sommelier, Reginald. Actually, they had an intergender match, which Sasha won, again with the Banks statement. In Royal Rumble history, the SmackDown Women's Champion is 2-0 at the Royal Rumble. In 2020, Bayley defeated Lacey Evans, and in 2019, Asuka defeated Becky Lynch before Becky Lynch went on to win the Royal Rumble. So we will start with John DeConnie this time around. John DeConnie, how about a new champion here? You got a title retention here?
I guess I wouldn't be terribly surprised to see it happen here because there's enough time before Mania for a lot of things to happen, and there's a lot of interesting storylines it could set up. But I don't see it happening just because of in my head for the Women's Rumble and going forward. So I've got Sasha retaining here.
All right. Tyler, we're going counterclockwise here. So you're next.
Kind of piggybacking off John a bit, there is some time between tomorrow night and Mania to, I guess, figure out how they want to do this. I personally see Sasha winning. I don't, as far as what would happen with her in the future, whether they decide to do a women's chamber before Mania or a number one contenders chamber before Mania, I just don't. You can't convince me that Carmella is going to walk out of here with the title tomorrow.
All right, Ryan, as I mentioned, Reginald's been a little more involved here recently, more than Carmella has, and that's kind of the point. Maybe I should stress a little bit more in some people's. I don't know. I just feel like this is weird.
Yeah, I mean, Reginald is definitely going to play a factor in this match, and whether he plays a factor that could cause Sasha to lose, I think is the question that we have to answer.
Yes.
I don't see it happening, though. Reginald or not, I'm holding out for Sasha Bayley at WrestleMania. I know Bayley's been preoccupied with Bianca Belair. That's what they needed to do to separate them for a while, but I see that storyline coming back together at WrestleMania.
Yeah, that story kind of, as long as we were waiting for that breakup to happen, for Elise Ashton to break up Sasha Banks and Bayley, it kind of ended abruptly. So, John Smith, what are your thoughts here?
This was actually the hardest one for me to pick because the women, I mean, besides the Rumble matches, of course, but the Women's Rumble is such a toss-up that you don't really know what's going to happen here. I could see Carmella winning it because of Reginald, but I still went with Sasha Banks because, now that she's retained the title a couple times, I think she's going to still hold on to it for a little while longer.
All right, Gary. So we're all on Sasha Banks here. I know. Now that I'm thinking about it, she's really not one of your favorites.
No, she's not. I mean, she's good. I just think she's not as great as everybody says, but and I think she's miscast as a babyface. To be fair, I think she's much better as a heel. But unless James Ellsworth comes back to help Carmella, which I can't see it, I think. To be honest, with the way I think things will go between now and Mania, Sasha Banks retains as well. So I'm sticking on that line.
Yeah, I'm gonna stay with Sasha Banks as well. I have no reason. Like I said, I'm with you. She's gonna hold it till Mania. She deserves to walk the aisle at Mania as champion. Whether she retains it there or not, or who she's fighting, I have no idea. I have ideas, but who knows if they'll come to fruition or not. But I just think this whole thing with Reginald, I don't know if Reginald's gonna swerve Carmella. Or he's going to get involved. It's been really weird how Carmella's kind of been off camera the last couple of weeks, and it's been Reginald doing it. Or Carmella was on commentary during the intergender match, and I don't think we saw Carmella last week. It was just last night. It was just a backstage thing with the bottle of champagne, and it just seems like it's been more about those two than it is about Carmella. So for that reason alone, I'll take Sasha. But it's something I don't know. How do you swerve a heel with a heel tactic? I don't remember. I don't know where they're going with it. But and then we have our last championship match before we get into the Rumble matches, and I'll throw the graphic up right now. We have the WWE Championship on the line here. Goldberg came out at Legends Night at the beginning of the year and got in Drew's face about Drew's disrespect to the Legends, which is a little ridiculous. That Drew thinks he's better than the Legends ever were in their prime, and that upsets Goldberg, so now Drew McIntyre is next. We're going to run down the resume quick of Bill Goldberg, WWE Hall of Famer, former WCW champion, former World Heavyweight champion, former two-time Universal champion, in which in recent years, each time he has won this title, he has walked the aisle at WrestleMania as defending champion, both at WrestleMania's 33 versus Brock Lesnar and 36 versus Braun Strowman. There have been 52 wrestlers in history who have been WWE champion. Goldberg's name is not on that list. The WWE champion is 18-9-2 with 21 title defenses in Royal Rumble history. Last year, Brock Lesnar, he did not defend the title. He did not have a challenger, so he got bored, entered himself as number one in the Royal Rumble match, and eliminated 13 people. In 2019, Daniel Bryan defeated AJ Styles to retain the title. He was the last to do to retain the title. John Cena was the last one to win a championship at the Royal Rumble. He defeated AJ Styles in 2017. And of course, the first ever WWF championship match in Royal Rumble history took place in 1991 when Sergeant Slaughter defeated the Ultimate Warrior, and I cried. Gary, you got a dog in the fight here, so we'll lead with you.
I tend to have the reverse Midas effect for Drew when it comes to his matches. If I pick him, he loses. If I choose against him, he wins. So I was somewhat conflicted when I was coming to do it. But with where I think, and obviously I don't know, but with where I think it's going to go, and or where I hope it's going to go, although I think it'll be quite short, but a lot of like bang for your buck, as I say in the match. But I'm picking Drew to go over Goldberg. Clean. Drew's going to pin him. So I am going with a McIntyre retains.
All right, John DeConnie, the Goldberg streak, they just had a documentary on WWE.com. McIntyre mentioned this past Monday that Goldberg's on another streak where he's challenged for a championship in recent memory twice. And as I mentioned, he won both of them leading into WrestleMania. He defeated Bray Wyatt and Kevin Owens.
Yes. So he's on a bit of a run here. He decides to put himself in the title picture, and he just wins titles because he's Goldberg. Well, I'm hoping that the simple fact that this is for the WWE Championship is the cattle prod in this situation. I just, when I look at history a couple of years ago, when Sting came back, the story to tell that would have been, Sting is finally in the WWE. Story to tell there would be for Sting to win in his first match. But Vince McMahon was not going to even figuratively allow WCW to win the Monday Night Wars by virtue of that match. And something tells me that even though I got a taste of vomit in the back of my throat the minute Goldberg put his finger in McIntyre's chest, eventually put himself in this title match, I'm counting on the fact that Vince McMahon's ego not allow him to add Goldberg to the lineage of the WWE title. So give me McIntyre retaining here.
All right, so Tyler, John DeConnie hit out a couple points here. Yeah, specifically, one of my favorite WrestleMania moments was when Mr. Perfect screwed over Lex Luger at WrestleMania 10 to make sure that Luger was never a WWF champion. Said Sting, he challenged Seth Rollins. We won't even mention this. John DeConnie mentioned the Triple H match, but Sting did challenge Seth Rollins, and he came up short as well. And another notice thing, just bringing up Sting and Goldberg. Anyone else notice that all of a sudden now Goldberg's the icon and not Sting and not Gary Mehaffy as normal? All of a sudden Goldberg's the icon.
Yeah.
So Tyler, who do you got in this one?
I want Drew McIntyre to win. But with all the stats that you put out with the WWE title being the one title that Goldberg has not held yet, it's just I don't see Goldberg not winning. I hate to say it. It's just I don't want to say it seems too obvious. Just all of the factors that play into it. It's just, how does he not?
Okay. Ryan Joy, this is, I guess, yeah, you can go. I can say my piece after.
Based on everything I know about these two guys in their recent WrestleMania matches, this is probably going to go a long time. I would say somewhere in the neighborhood of 3 to 3.5 minutes, because that was the average length of their matches at WrestleMania 36. Goldberg had a 2-minute loss. Drew had a 4.5-minute win. I'm going to pick Drew in this. I think I'm going to put my faith in the fact that I think Drew has been a strong champion, a good champion. He's going to carry the belt all the way to WrestleMania.
All right, John Smith, is it Ryan Joy and I, we taped our WrestleMania special for WrestleMania 6. Not only were those matches short, the scoreboard read 4-3 in favor of both challengers, where Drew McIntyre hit 4 Claymores compared to Brock Lesnar's 3 F5s, and Braun Strowman hit 4 Power Slams compared to Goldberg's 3 Spears. So are we looking at a 4-3 score here again in about 3.5 minutes?
Yeah, 4 Claymores to 3 Spears, maybe. I got Drew winning this one. They haven't built him up for the past year just to have Goldberg walk in and squash him. And I know you could say, like, oh, well, he walked in and squashed the Fiend, but that was kind of different. He was like the superhero taking out the supervillain. This is, we've built up. This is our top baby face, and then you just have the old guy come in and beat him. I don't think that's what's happening.
Yeah, I think Goldberg's two Universal Championship wins. The first one against Kevin Owens, when they booked that, or when Jericho booked that for Kevin Owens, if I remember correctly. That was pretty funny. That was the end of those two. That was the straw that broke the camel's back with Jericho and Kevin Owens. We kind of saw it coming, because it was already booked that Lesnar and Goldberg were going to be at WrestleMania. It's like, okay, we'll put the Universal title on that. I would have liked to have seen Jericho and Owens for the Universal title, maybe throw Finn Balor in there. But that was never meant to be. But the second time against Bray Wyatt as the Fiend, that shocked me a little bit. And I'm sitting there, I remember thinking about that match when we were picking it. I'm like, Is Vince really going to do that? Like, is he going to just destroy the Fiend just to put gold? Is this really? And he did. So it's not going to surprise me at all if Goldberg wins. I just do not want him to win. I'm going to put 25 points on Drew McIntyre, and if he goes down, I am going to go down with him. So I would rather be wrong with 0. I would rather be wrong with 0 points than right with 25. I guess picking Goldberg. I guess, does that make sense?
Yeah.
So just because I'm with I just don't want to see it. So I'm going to just wager that
One of the
Drew McIntyre is going to get it done. And then please God, in my way too early WrestleMania card, I don't know why they don't do this. Randy Orton as a legend killer, just drop Goldberg one last time, and we're done with him at WrestleMania. I think that would be the perfect way to say goodbye to our fellow headbutting machine, door headbutting machine. There we go. So that will do it with our championship matches. And like I said, in the Immortal World, that's not the button I wanted to hit. That'll do it for the championship matches. And as I mentioned at the top of the show, Howard Finkel, when he used to start, it is now time for the Royal. It just got me so excited. It still gets me excited. Like I heard it when I rewatched the 1990 Royal Rumble, when I watched the 2004 Royal Rumble. Fink was still doing announcing, and it was absolutely fantastic. So we are going to start with the Women's Royal Rumble match. We actually have the Sarah Logan had her kid yet. Surprise match at the end of the Rumble. Baby Lynch and Baby Logan, Battle of the Offspring. This could be absolutely crazy. I think a great match. How many stars do you think Meltzer would give that, Ty?
I don't know if he'd be able to give it stars before the child labor laws came knocking, but I'd say probably about 6 stars. I'd pay to see it.
Okay, actually, before we get that, Gary, is there anything? Actually, do you want to do your picks real quick before I get into the stats?
No. Don't worry. Don't rush mine in and say, obviously, I have to just go with family stuff. All I'll say is for all of the millions who are watching, when you see all the ones I've chosen for both Rumble matches, the Vegas betting odds are still going. We were talking about it before we started, so feel free to go and make your money, and you can retire. Don't worry about GameStop. You can make your money based on my Rumble picks, and then you'll be quids in. So,
all right. Well, Gary, we're sorry you had to leave so soon. I know you were mentioning there's some family stuff to do. We appreciate you hopping on. We are going to share your picks and your thoughts and your final four. So all the people who trust in you and trust in your pick philosophy, they can piggyback off you, and you will be good to go. So, Gary, thank you so much as always. We will see you Tuesday night for the next EWP episode. Correct?
Yeah. Well, I'll see you then. Definitely.
All right, Gary. Have a safe night, pal.
Yeah, there's your chance. See you later.
All right. Well, it's an unfortunate thing, but I say we're down one. We're going to be a little short-handed here, as they say in the hockey business, but we will move forward. We're going to start with the Women's Royal Rumble match. We're going to get into the numbers. Like I said all before, I love the stats. I love the numbers. I see John DeConnie smiling already. He's excited. So to go over the history, it's only a short history in the Women's Royal Rumble. There's only been 3 matches. This will be the 4th this year. Here are 3 prior winners. These are the all-time winningest wrestlers in Women's Royal Rumble history. And it's a 3-way tie with the 3 winners, Asuka, Becky Lynch, and Charlotte Flair. And I guess an even bigger tie in the most Final Fours in Women's Royal Rumble history. Charlotte Flair, she's only been in 2, and she got 2. So she's batting 1,000 right now as far as landing into the Final Four. Like I said, one of those Final Fours did result in a victory last year. Asuka, Becky Lynch, the Bella Twins were in the Final Four one year. Shayna Baszler placed 2nd last year. Nia Jax, Bayley, Natalya, Sasha Banks. That rounds up that little mishmash right there. So the most appearances in Royal Rumble. Here we go. Another trivia question here. Ryan Joy, I'll throw it to you. I don't know if I may have asked you this already. So the 3 years of the Women's Royal Rumble, how many women have been in all 3?
I have 10.
That's a correct. Oh, I forgot to bring up the Miz in the last match. Anyone thinks Miz is going to cash in?
No.
Tyler's shaking his head no. John Smith?
No.
All right, John DeConnie.
I don't think so.
Yeah, I'm not putting points on it either. All right, so back to the women's Royal Rumble. There are 10 women who've been in the prior 3. I do not think Sarah Logan has had her child yet. She is on the unemployment line anyway, so we're going to be down to 9. Kairi Sane is overseas, I believe. I don't know when the last time anyone's checked in on Kairi Sane. So we could be back at 8 by the end of this. Some of these women have announced that they are in. I do believe Naomi had surgery a little bit ago. I do not know if she's going to be in it. Sonya Deville, a little bit of a wild card right now since she's a person of official, I guess, capacity, if you want to put it that way, being the Scrap Daddy's assistant. In the all-time eliminations in Women's Royal Rumble, Charlotte Flair has this record too. She's thrown out 9 in the past 2 years she's been in it. She was not in the first one because, as you saw in the graphic at the earlier of the show when we were talking about the 2018 Rumble, she was SmackDown Women's Champion. Bianca Belair and Shayna Baszler, they each had 8 last year. Nia Jax was 7. Alexa Bliss a little bit there. She's a little bit of a size disadvantage, but she's managed to throw out 5. Michelle McCool threw out 5. She was the all-time leader at one point after the first year. Natalya and Ruby Riott, there's another one. Entrance coming in this year. Bayley, she has announced she is at the 4 elimination mark. Becky Lynch, we do not know. We will discuss that. But she is at the 4 elimination mark as well. These are the all-time eliminations in Royal Rumble history. The single Rumble records were both set. The top 2 right there. Last year, both Bianca Belair and Shayna Baszler, they each tossed out 8. So 16 of the 29 women eliminated were done by those 2. Charlotte Flair in 2019 had 5. As I just mentioned, Michelle McCool had the original record with 5 in the inaugural Women's Rumble. Flair again had 4 last year. Nia Jax had 4 in 2018, along with Nikki Bella. And the longest time in ring in the match actually belongs to Natalya. Not that many people would, I don't think, would get that right. Natalya chimed in with 56 minutes back in 2019. Sasha Banks had 54 and change in the inaugural. Ember Moon lasted pretty long last year as well. Charlotte Flair, she came in with 51 in 2019. And Bianca Belair last year, she just chimed in over half an hour. They didn't mention that last night on SmackDown. So those are the all-time numbers. Here are the participants in this year's Royal Rumble, where a majority of them, as you can see here, we'll leave this up for a second. Just so you can take a look here. Charlotte Flair's entering her 2nd Royal Rumble, as I mentioned, with the 1 win. People like Mandy Rose has been in all 3. Alexa Bliss, this is her 2nd. She's got 5 toss-outs. Bayley's in her 3rd appearance with 4 eliminations. I'll leave this up here so the people who are watching on YouTube and on Facebook can dissect it a little bit. John Smith. Actually, no, we'll get to you in a second. I was actually going to jump the gun here first, but we'll just talk about the stories going into this, because there really haven't been too many stories that were kind of affected by the Royal Rumble. I know Nia Jax declared first. Charlotte declared shortly thereafter. Bayley and Bianca Belair have been at it for a while now, including their match last night, where Bianca Belair got the win after the KOD on Bayley. The Women's Royal Rumble winner is 2-1 at WrestleMania when challenging. The wins came from Charlotte as she won the NXT Women's Championship at WrestleMania 36. And, of course, Becky Lynch, the 2019 winner, they had the big main event. She won both the Raw and SmackDown Women's Championships in the main event at WrestleMania 35. Asuka alone, the first ever Women's Royal Rumble winner, she came up short at WrestleMania 34. So we'll bring the pictures back up. Boop, there we go. That's the wrong. There we go. Minor leagues. Last year, according to our PWP Pick'em standings, last year, John Smith, John DeConnie, and Gary picked Shayna Baszler to win. Tyler and I, we got out on a limb and picked Ronda Rousey. And Ryan, do you remember who you picked last year? I doubt it was Charlotte Flair because I don't think anybody saw that coming.
I didn't pick. I don't know. I have no idea who I picked.
There we go. James Wood, he's charming. We'll get to a couple surprise entrants here and there in a little bit. James is actually excited. He wants Becky Lynch in this Rumble in the worst possible way. We don't blame you. We miss her. So I'm going to actually kick this off real quick. I usually put myself last, but I try to give everybody the benefit of going first just so they can have the fresh opinion and the fresh aspect. I usually don't get mine. I go last. So I'm going to choose this match to go first. First things first, I got some predictions that I would like to talk about once I find them. I got a whole bunch of notes here. Alex predictions. Here we go. I've been writing these down for the past couple weeks now, just as they come to mind. See how they hold up. The first one I don't think is going to happen. I got Sonya Deville eliminating Mandy Rose. I don't even know if Sonya's going to be in this. So I think that's going to be strike one right there. I got Bayley going at least 45 to an hour. I think Bayley's going to be drawing in the top 5. I think after that obstacle course where Bianca pretty much embarrassed her and, Bayley's not the est of anything, I think Bayley will she's going to be this is going to be her Rumble as far as duration goes. I think she'll have an early number and prove that she's got some endurance, and I actually want to go as far as to say she'll probably eliminate Bianca as well, just to try to keep that story going for the time being. Because right now, that's 2 straight losses between the match last night and the obstacle course from the week prior. I got Shayna Baszler throwing up a goose egg here. I got her. We had 8 eliminations. She set the record last year. I got her with the squad douche in the elimination aspect of the Royal Rumble. I wouldn't be shocked that after a potential loss, let's just say they lose here, that Nia gets upset and she eliminates Shayna Baszler. But I don't think Shayna's going to come remotely close to what she did last year. And the last prediction I have, for those, I guess, I don't know if you're familiar or not with the rainbow. There's 7 colors in the rainbow, blue and indigo, kind of the same color. So let's say 6 shades in a rainbow. With women's wrestling, I kind of judge it by their hair color kind of deal. So we actually have Violet Peyton Royce. She's got the violet purple hair. Check, right? We have blue. We have Sasha Banks. Check, right? We have green. We got Ruby Riott. We also have Shotzi. So green, check. We have yellow with many blondes. Mandy Rose, Charlotte Flair. That's an easy one. We have orange. We have Becky Lynch. Oh, do we have red? I think we're missing some red in our life, boys. I think we're missing all red everything. That is my big surprise entrant in the Women's Royal Rumble, and I'm already feeling the hate coming through my computer screen from the people who might have just turned us off, but I do not care. Eva Marie, this will be the triumphant return. There you go. That's it. I can feel the hate coming already. You know a heel does her job when she just mentioned her name, and it just. Ugh.
All right, you're not wrong. No, definitely not wrong there.
She does her job. So with that, somebody just
couldn't agree more.
Yeah, Travis, you know what? Right.
You're gonna mute him.
Yeah, I know, right? Why am I promoting? You're not supposed to like her. That's the fun part of it. Even Rio's terribly.
He's just playing heel right now.
Or I'll go to YouTube and put him in comment timeout.
Yeah. Why you throwing heat, Daddy? All right. So here are my picks. I'm actually piggyback off of what I said before. Bayley going 45 and eliminating Bianca Belair. That's who I got winning this thing. I'm going to go with Bayley as my winner. Bianca Belair will be there at the end. Charlotte Flair, like I said, she's got the 100% batting average with Final Fours. There's no reason to keep her out of that. I think this would be a good time to let Rhea Ripley shine on a big stage. She was in the championship match at WrestleMania. It was her title that Charlotte Flair challenged for. So we got 2 feuds here, one with more recent history than the other. But I think a pair off with Charlotte and Rhea, and then the pair off of Bayley and Bianca, I think this would make it for an outstanding Final Four. I'm picking Bayley because I just think she just needs this. I like Bayley and Sasha Banks again. I actually wouldn't mind if somehow Bianca figured her way into that match as well. I would love to see a triple threat between Sasha, Bayley, and Bianca. Maybe that's where Bianca shines and gets the win. But I think maybe too early, too soon for Bianca. So I am going to go with Bayley. Ding dong. Hello. Up next, who did I have next on the list? That's the WWE. That's the Women's Royal Rumble. There we go. Tyler, I have you next on my list. Tyler, what are you thinking here, pal?
So, the women's match I feel like can go in a couple of different directions, especially, hearing some of your comments, listening to some of the comments that we have going on here. There's a couple of different things I could think of, you talk about surprise entrance, James brings up a good point. She's been AWOL for God knows how long. Possible? I don't think so, but it's the Royal Rumble. I think that's kind of where the impossible happens as far as surprise entrance goes. As far as my final four, I went with Bianca Belair to Bayley, Shayna Baszler, and Nia Jax with Bianca Belair winning. I think Bianca Belair has been booked pretty strong lately. I like what they're doing with her. I don't appreciate that. Give me 1 second. I got to call Joe. He's not picking up. So I like the way that Bianca Belair has been booked the last few weeks. And one of those things that we were just talking about, I could, I don't know about you guys, I could absolutely see some kind of fatal four-way come out of this at Mania with Bayley, Bianca, Sasha Banks, and throwing Becky Lynch in the mix if she comes back.
Yeah.
It's not impossible. I don't think it's likely. But again, back to the impossible. This is where the unexpected happens. So that's where I'm going with the Women's Royal Rumble right now.
Okay. Ryan Joy, you are next up on the list. What are you thinking? Any predictions? Any wild entrants? Any duration, eliminations? Anything? Who do you got?
Well, since WWE just made $1 billion on Peacock, I think that wallet's getting opened. I think we see Ronda. I think we see Becky. I think we see Taya. I don't think any of them win. I think Charlotte wins because Vince McMahon loves to say, for the first time ever, a two-time. What in the heck are you doing, Adam? As I was saying, Vince McMahon likes to say for the first time ever, and we need a first time ever two-time Women's Royal Rumble winner. So I think Charlotte Flair is going to win. I'm playing it safe with the final four and picking Alexa Bliss, Bayley, Bianca Belair as the people that are there at the end. But I do think all those people I just mentioned, I think they're going to somehow be in this Rumble. I think Becky and Ronda probably are destined for Mania together, if in fact I'm right on that. So they probably eliminate each other. There you go.
Yeah, I'm all for. I say in my way too earlier WrestleMania prediction, I think that was the match. I think it was like Becky and Ronda in like a street fight or a last woman standing or whatever. No titles, like nothing.
Yep.
I just don't get how they would both be in this at the same time. I think they're holding off Ronda till Becky gets back. So, like, because that's where we left off of that. Becky beat Ronda at Mania, and Ronda's gonna come back pissed. She's gonna be gunning for it. But how would Ronda know that Becky's in the Rumble? Like, maybe tomorrow on Monday on Raw we see Ronda. I don't get how they would know. How Ronda would know Becky's a surprise entrant.
I think you're tied to that storyline being the impetus to what brings them back. I'm saying they're both coming back, and they happen to find each other in the Rumble.
Oh, okay. So you just think, okay, gotcha.
Mm-hmm. And then all those memories come up.
Yep.
Yeah.
I just think Ronda's just been stewing for years now, 2 years now, that she just wants to erase the one loss on her resume.
Now, if you want to do twins again for one of these things, I prefer it to be Akeem the African Dream and the Big Boss Man. You can put my face on Akeem if you want. Don't do that to me again.
Okay, John Smith, as our senior NXT correspondent, here is a trivia question for you. 30 women in last year's Royal Rumble. How many were from NXT?
Like they were in NXT at the time they were in the Rumble?
They were NXT at the time of the Rumble.
I'll go with 6.
How does 12 float you?
Really?
Bianca Belair, Mercedes Martinez, Candice LeRae, Mia Yim, Dakota Kai, Chelsea Green, Beth Phoenix, Xia Li, Shotzi Blackheart, Tegan Knox, Shayna Baszler, and then Toni Storm was a UK athlete at the time, but that still counts as NXT. So I guess the question for you, and involved with that number, that staggering number, like which NXT women do you think get called up in this and get involved in this? Like, do you have anything?
We'll probably see Ember Moon. We'll see Shotzi, most likely, Rhea Ripley. Do we see Candice again? Probably not, I don't think. Maybe we'll get Toni Storm again. I'd like to see Raquel Gonzalez this year, have her eliminate 4 or 5 chicks. That'd be nice. But I don't see any NXT girls making the Final 4 because ding dong, hello, Bailey's going to be winning this. I got to the moon. Bailey's going straight to the moon, baby. My first thought was Alexa Bliss, but I don't think that since she's on Raw, I don't think they're moving towards Asuka versus Alexa Bliss. And this is the only thing I could really think of logically. We did see Bailey and Sasha kind of settle their score, but not really. So I'd like to see it really come to a complete end at WrestleMania when Bailey and Sasha fight one last time. As far as I'm on the Becky Lynch train. I think she's coming back. I think she's going to make the Final 4. She'll probably be the one that throws Alexa out. I think because I think Alexa's going to dominate as the Shield. But and then Belair, of course, we all got Belair so far in our Final 4. So, they've been building her up. I just like Bailey to take her out at the end.
John DeConnie, I saw your email you sent me with these picks so I can make these fun graphics. I had way too much fun with last night. You promised yourself Lana in the Final 4, huh?
Well, you remember originally when you had Eva Marie coming back, as a surprise entrant, had her winning the Royal Rumble, and I had Lana defending one of the titles at WrestleMania. But since that doesn't look like that's going to happen, I had to have Lana in the Royal Rumble here. And I told myself all along Lana was going to be in my top 4, and then I started putting it together last night, and she just missed. I was going to submit a request that we turn this into a top 5 or a Final 5, but I held back, and she just missed out.
She's going to win.
Okay, so.
I didn't think about this till now. She's going to win, John.
That would be one for the record books. All right, so for the last month or so on Raw and SmackDown, they've been telling 2 main stories going towards the Rumble. And I think it would just be too transparent to have them both play out. They very well may neither play out. I think one is more likely than the other. And I just I always get myself in trouble going back to, let's say, the Knockouts tag titles, where the more you talk about someone, the more it tells me, all right, that's not going to be the person who does it. So I think it would be a mistake here. I think it's a little too early for Bianca, but because she is the most incredible athlete in the world, I, of course, have her in my Final 4. But I think the payoff here is that we get to revisit the MVPs of the empty arena era. We have Bailey add one accolade she doesn't have left. And my question to Al was, what comes after being a Grand Slam champion? Well, you add the Royal Rumble winner to it. I don't know if there's a cute nickname for it, but I've got Bailey winning. I've got Bianca being there at the end, and Bailey getting perhaps, most likely, the chance to pat herself on the back by tossing Bianca out. I think Alexa Bliss has a strong showing here because she's just been so amazing this past little while with this whole Sheen character, if you will. And I think Rhea turns out to be the person who maybe has the most eliminations this year. I think we'll get a very strong showing out of her as well. In the end,
I'm all for that. Yeah.
Bailey takes it.
Yeah, Rhea. Yeah, if she gets like 5 or 6, I think that would be great. That'd just be a nice because we haven't seen her since she got slammed through the stage by Raquel Gonzalez. We all thought she was going to get called up, really quick. So that'll be that. And John DeConnie, it's funny how you said in the email, as I just mentioned. Well, first things first, I need to clear up something on the comment here. Al, is my butt okay? I heard at the end of Tuesday's episode, I'm not actually in John Smith's spare studio where the seat made my butt numb. John Smith was right. He said that was going to happen. I held off as long as I could. I thought I was off air when I said that. I guess I was not. But I am good. I am back in my own studio. Everything is good to go. I am a happy camper. But John, you didn't have the testicular fortitude, as a wise man once said, to put Lana in your Final Four. But I know somebody who did. Gary Mehaffy is putting Lana in his Final Four, along with Charlotte Flair and Bianca. I think we all had Bianca and Charlotte, if memory serves me correct. I think those are, I don't say they're locks, but those are two pretty favorites here. But yeah, Gary's going to go with Rhea Ripley. So interesting pick there. I wish we could have got his thing on it. I think I heard on Tuesday, this past Tuesday's episode of the Essential Wrestling Podcast, that Gary wasn't a big fan of Jenny, so I figured I'd do that. So that will do it. So like I said, 3 of us are on Bailey. John DeConnie. I'm sorry. What is it? John DeConnie took. Wow, my memory's already lost again.
Yeah,
the 3 of us are on Bailey. So yeah, I forget. It's my short-term memory loss. There we go.
Al, can I make one more
3
point?
people to go.
Al,
what's up?
I got one more point, and I got a tip off on Twitter to point out this pattern to me. Asuka A, Becky B, Charlotte C. The winner of your Rumble this year's first name is going to begin with a D. So my new Final Four is Dakota Kai, Dana Brooke, Dawn Marie, and Deonna Purrazzo.
Dawn Marie, very nice. I like that. You heard too many Dawn Marie. What surprise do you think we have? Actually, I have a list here. But we'll just stick with the Royal Rumble here. I have a list here. Who do you think is a quick yes or no's for surprise entrance? Once I find my paper, that one. There we go. Okay, Rhea Ripley. I think we all would agree yes on that. Rhea Ripley. Kairi Sane. Tyler, is Kairi Sane coming back?
Probably not.
All right. Ryan Joy. Ty Valkyrie.
Yep.
John Smith. Tessa Blanchard.
No.
No, you don't think she's still in Mexico?
I don't think people are going to care enough. I don't know.
I think I don't know. Tessa's, it's going to be fun if she does. I couldn't tell you either way though. John DeConnie, Becky Lynch.
I'm going to say no.
You know what? I asked my wife, and who was absolutely an amazing mother of 3 children, who I am proud to call my stepchildren. I asked her if so the baby was born at the beginning of December. Could Becky physically compete? And she said no, like right off the bat. She's like, but Becky's not a normal person. You know what I'm saying? So like, it's not. I think there's a chance if she can go. I think she will go. Tyler, Ronda Rousey.
Not impossible. They're doing that whole superstar gaming thing through the network. I know she's a part of it. I could see her floating her head in the match.
Ryan Joy, Raquel Gonzalez.
No. Sorry, John Smith.
What are you saying?
I said no, and then sorry,
no.
John Smith.
All right. John Smith, Eva Marie. Let's circle somebody else's opinion and who's not in love with her.
Yes.
All right. John DeConnie, Tony Storm.
I hope so. I'll say yes.
All right, Ryan Joy. I'm going to skip that. I can tell Tyler the last one. Tegan Knox. You think she'll be ready?
Yes.
All right, and she just got a new show. She's actually working out with Brie Larson right now. Her idol, Captain Marvel. So that's actually a pretty cool crossover between WWE and Marvel, and that Tegan Knox actually gets to train with Brie Larson on her comeback. Tyler, one last group here, the Bellas.
Oh, I hope not.
Oh.
They should be ready by now. They said they wanted one more tag title run, right? They wanted not one more, but they wanted a tag title run. So
congratulations. They can go on 2K20. They can create two wrestlers, and they can do it there.
The Bellas screwed me out of having a perfect Royal Rumble 2 years ago when they were in the Final Four, and I picked the entire Rumble right. I got all 4 Final Four men right, and then the Bellas were in the Final Four in the women's. Ruined me.
Yeah, I think not that many people had them in the Final Four. I don't think they were surprised then. No one knew they were going to show up. All right, we're going to switch gears. We're going to switch gears to the men here, and this is where the history gets fun. This is the Royal Rumble that dated back to 1988. So I believe this is the 34th Royal Rumble match. Most wins in Royal Rumble history, as I mentioned earlier, Steve Austin in 2001. He got that number 3. He's the only one in history with 3. Batista, Hulk Hogan, John Cena, Randy Orton, Shawn Michaels, Triple H. That is a small list of people who've won it twice. Active wrestlers who have won a previous Royal Rumble. I'm not saying all these guys are in it, but they are all active on the roster, so we need to put them on the list. Drew McIntyre, Seth Rollins, Braun Strowman, Shinsuke, Roman Reigns, Sheamus, Edge, Rey Mysterio, Brock Lesnar, all active with 1 Rumble win and will join this illustrious list if they win again. Most Final Four appearances, Randy Orton's got this nod. He has 7. Kane, Glenn Jacobs, you want to call him that, Kane and the Fake Diesel. Kane's been in 5. The Fake Diesel was in the Final Four in 1997, so he chimes in with 6. Roman Reigns, he is like Charlotte. He is batting 1,000. Roman Reigns has been in 6 Royal Rumbles. He has been in 6 Final Fours. So that is pretty remarkable as well. Steve Austin, Triple H, Shawn Michaels, Batista, John Cena, each with 5. Sheamus and Edge, they are active wrestlers. They are both going to be in it. They are at number 4 right now. Most appearances we found out, or as we heard on SmackDown, that Dolph Ziggler has the second most appearances in Rumble match history. He is correct. He is in a 3-way tie with Kofi Kingston and Goldust, all trailing Kane. Again, he had 1 Royal Rumble as the Fake Diesel, 1 Royal Rumble as an evil dentist. So even if you want to take those 2 out, Kane still has the lead with 17. Big Show with 12. Randy Orton will appear in his 13th. If he makes it to the ring, Shawn Michaels with 12, and The Miz is in the same. Rey Mysterio and Shelton Benjamin, each at 11. The most all-time eliminations in Royal Rumble history, Kane got this nod as well. He is probably the greatest Royal Rumble competitor to have never win the event. Shawn Michaels and The Undertaker tied at second with 39, Austin with 36. Big Show, Roman Reigns at 32, as they were not really expecting Roman to be in this. So that'll probably stand still. But there it is in bolded red, Braun Strowman with 30. He's good for about 4 or 5 each Rumble he's in. So expect him to climb this. Possibly he needs 2 or he needs 3 to pass Big Show. So he could possibly land as number 5 all time by the end of tomorrow night. Randy Orton with 27, John Cena 25. The next 2, the 2 highest next active wrestlers, I forgot to bold that, but Brock Lesnar has 24 eliminations, including the 13 he had last year, and Edge is at 20. And speaking of Brock Lesnar's 13, that tied Braun Strowman for the most eliminations in a single Royal Rumble match. That surpassed Roman Reigns from 2014. Kane had that record for 13 years with 11. And then the ones that under that you really don't hear too much about. Steve Austin with 10 in 97. Hogan originally setting the record way back in 1989, and that was the one Rumble he didn't win, other than 92. He didn't win in 1989. Big John Studd did. Shawn Michaels in 1995, also with 9. Steve Austin in 1999 with 8. And then there is a slew of probably about 12 wrestlers with 7 eliminations in one Royal Rumble. That is like the magic number that gets you actually technically into the top 10. So, and then as Tyler mentioned earlier in his Royal Memories, Rey Mysterio, 62 minutes, 12 seconds. The only way to beat that is to have a 50-man Royal Rumble and have Daniel Bryan go, run pretty much the entire show and go 76 minutes and 5 seconds. That is going to be tough to beat. So look for these two to stand. Chris Benoit and Bob Backlund, both over 61 minutes. Triple H, Chris Jericho, Ric Flair. These are only 7 times somebody's gone over an hour. So we all know Ric Flair can go over an hour, right? Woo! Space Mountain, baby. So here are the Rumble competitors in this year's Rumble. We'll leave this up here for a second as I go over the storylines. Let me just get this graphic off just so we can see Bobby Lashley's face with MVP's United States Championship. Daniel Bryan was the first to announce that he was declaring for the Royal Rumble match. He has been since training with the Alpha Academy to get those hips strong. He demonstrated that last night. He was all excited. He's ready to roll. Both Cesaro and Shinsuke Nakamura have been absolutely on fire as of late. If you want to think about this already, AJ Styles kind of has 2 eliminations already to this point by beating Drew Gulak and R-Truth to keep them from entering the Royal Rumble, but actually that should be incorrect. I think he prevented R-Truth from entering next year's Money in the Bank. I believe he eliminated Truth from. But whatever, 2 eliminations for AJ Styles. John Smith, what is that word again?
Benevolent.
Thank you very much. The winner of the Royal Rumble is 16-10 at WrestleMania. 3 of the last 4 Rumble winners went on to WrestleMania and successfully win the championship they challenged. That includes Drew McIntyre, Seth Rollins, and Randy Orton. Shinsuke Nakamura, the 2018 Rumble winner, was the one unfortunate loss in the 3 of the last 4 years. In last year's Royal Rumble match picks, myself, Tyler, John Smith, John DeConnie, all on Roman Reigns. Throwing up a lot of X's here, but Gary's got that inside information. Gary picked correct. Gary had Drew McIntyre winning last year's Royal Rumble. He doesn't bet against his friend ever. So Gary, he got the 20 points last year. So Ryan Joy, we are going to lead with you on this one. Whoever got the ticker up for me, you beat me to the punch. Thank you very much. That's one less phone call I have to deal with later. Thank you. Ryan Joy, who do you got? Any wild predictions? Any whatever you got?
Well, yeah, I mean, I think, let me just say what everybody's thinking. First of all, Dominic Mysterio's winning. And in your final 4 is John Morrison and Dolph Ziggler, for sure. Those are the givens, right?
Lock.
So if you get past that, and my joking aside, I have Shinsuke Nakamura in the top 4. I don't have him winning. I have Sheamus in the top 4. I don't have him winning. I have Edge in the top 4. Did you do that in the last 20 minutes since Ryback was up?
No, I made several ones for each one. No, I spent time on this.
I have Daniel Bryan winning, and I have on the Daily Wrestling News Show. I've put some people. I've said, hey, putting a gun to your head, who's winning the Rumble? Daniel Bryan has been John DeConnie's guy from the beginning. I think it all makes sense. I'm watching the booking. I think Daniel Bryan is the easy bet. Now, having said that, and you can take this down now, I think that anything makes sense. Everybody has been booked really, really solid. Shinsuke Nakamura booked really solid, solid appearance in the Gauntlet match. Cesaro's gotten the best wins of his entire WWE run in the last month. So AJ Styles looks good. Everybody looks good. And these surprises and the potential of one of the champions losing and entering the Rumble, or one of the challengers losing and entering the Rumble, all this stuff. I don't know if you got Brock Lesnar from the outside, all these people that could make it up. I think Damian Priest enters the Rumble this year. So I think the field's wide open. Daniel Bryan's the one I put my money behind on in the pool, but I'm not surprised if anybody wins.
Just to chime in with Bruce here. He asked if we answered questions in another comment. Of course we do. We're going to get to it. The timing hasn't been there yet. As I mentioned before, somebody asked me if my butt was okay. I completely answered that. So, Bruce, we are getting to our surprises on the men's side. He's chiming in, #Fiend Forever. Travis chiming in. Yeah, Damien Demento. There we go. I like that one.
That's because that's 2 Ds. That's 2 Ds. So Damien Demento wins the Women's Rumble.
That double D's. Yeah, okay, I'll just leave that joke there. John Smith, same trivia question I asked you before about the women. I'm going to do this to you again right now. As our senior NXT correspondent, how many NXT wrestlers were in last year's Rumble?
I want to say just maybe 3 or 4. I'll go with 4.
The answer's 2.
2? Wow.
Keith Lee was the big one. That was the one when Brock put him over. Ooh, big boy. You know, a lot of people don't give Brock credit for putting people over in small ways. Bubba Ray Dudley pointed that out. The other one was Matt Riddle. You blinked, you missed him because Baron Corbin, I think, threw him out right away. But there was only 2 last year. So any NXT guys you want to say? I know somebody mentioned Damian Priest. I know Ryan just mentioned Damian Priest. He's on my list. Somebody else had Damian Priest on the comment. There we go. It's our buddy James Wheeler again. Here we go. Jay White, Damian Priest, CM Punk. Brian Joy. Well, actually, we're going to go back to you real quick. Jay White, that's an interesting one.
Yeah, I don't think that there's anything real about Jay White's contract being up. I've heard some people report that it was true, and more people report that it wasn't. They get a lot of good camera angles and a lot of time given to him his little temper tantrum after Wrestle Kingdom. So I don't think that was a real thing. I think that's all an angle inside of New Japan. But honestly, Jay White is a welcome addition, and he does not need to go through NXT. He is the whole total package already.
Sounds good. All right, John Smith, now is your time to shine. Who do you got? Anybody from NXT? Any wild predictions? Sorry to take that away from you.
No, I like the idea of Damian Priest making his main roster debut at the Rumble and them declaring that, like, oh, he was just signed by SmackDown or Raw. I like that being the way he's introduced to the main roster.
As we all know, he's best friends with Kevin Owens, right? He's best friends with Kevin Owens, right? Go. Sorry.
And also, I'd like to see Bronson Reed go in and have a couple impressive eliminations, because I think they could use that in NXT. He could use that kind of momentum in NXT, since he doesn't really have like a storyline going on there. But I don't see any NXT guys making the Final Four either. Daniel Bryan, I feel like, is obvious, but I feel like he's too obvious to win. So I don't have him winning. I got AJ Styles actually eliminating him, possibly or probably with the help of Omos or Ermagerd or whatever his name is.
So
I got AJ and Daniel Bryan in my Final Four. I got Edge in my Final Four. And then I got Sheamus with the 2-time. Oh, are you kidding me with this graphic right now? I should just turn my computer off. Anyway. So, okay, yeah, I got Sheamus joining that elusive list of 2-time Royal Rumble winners, because, as I've said before, if Batista's on it, anybody can be on it. So I like Sheamus, not dominating, but getting the last elimination. Him and Edge would be a nice way to end it, or maybe him and AJ combo Edge out of the ring or something, and then he takes AJ out. Who knows? But I'd love to see Sheamus, because I'm really looking towards Sheamus versus Drew McIntyre, and I think that's what they've been leading up to ever since November, when we were like, why are they doing this? Heel Sheamus is friends with face Drew, and then Sheamus just gradually becomes a face now, and I think it's just all going to flip after he wins the Rumble.
Yeah, I don't have a. Sheamus is done. He's He's like the only wrestler in history. He's won everything. He's the WWE champion. He's the world champion. He's won a Rumble. He's won King of the Ring. He's won Money in the Bank. He's survived the Survivor Series match. He's been tagged. He's doing everything. So it's not going to shock me at all that if he wins this again, I just don't think in 2021, like they tried Sheamus in a world title picture 5 years ago, and I don't think it went well. So it's just maybe if at SummerSlam that would work. I think even like Fastlane or the Chamber, I think it would work. I get, but John, if you get more power to you. I like Sheamus. This isn't a shot at Sheamus. It's not a shot at your pick either. But I just.
There's guys Karl doesn't like too.
Yeah, but I like Sheamus. I just don't like him tomorrow night. Like that's not.
Well, then why the hell have they
Gary
been?
was up next on the list. Gary was up next on the list. Actually, no, John DeConnie was up next on the list. John DeConnie, you can go. I put you ahead of him for something reason. I forget why. Oh, I know why now. All right, yeah, John DeConnie, you're up.
Okay. So in terms of surprises, I've had one rattling around in the dome for a little while now. You know, we know that WWE likes to do crossovers, or cross promote other things, and we know that every year, if not maybe every other year, we get someone coming back that we haven't seen or we haven't even thought about. You know, we had Jeff Jarrett. Going back a little further, we had Ricky Steamboat, and going back to probably the one that originally sticks out in my mind, Mr. Perfect. And if these guys come in and they make a nice showing of it, they don't completely embarrass themselves, then they get a couple of weeks on either Raw or SmackDown so that the fans can chant "You still got it" and blah blah blah. Well, the WWE Network has some episodes coming up. I think the first one airs this week with Yokozuna, but we know that part of that upcoming package is going to be an episode on Rob Van Dam. So I think there's a chance maybe we see RVD show up, not make a big splash or anything like that, but I would love to see Mr. Monday Night show up at the Rumble and hang out for a few minutes. But that's my outside of the box take. Now, getting down to the business of the Rumble, I really wanted to put Cesaro in my top 4 and have him and maybe even him and Daniel Bryan as the final 2 because I've loved the way he's come up this couple of weeks, and I just love him in general as a performer. I was going to have Braun in there, and after something that we talked about in pre-production here, I wish I'd stuck with him, but I thought he was going to come in as the one of the bigger surprises and last all the way to the end. Put somebody else in that spot, maybe a mistake. You can see Sheamus being in there, Randy anytime he's in it. Seth Rollins likely to make a return. He was supposed to come back a couple of weeks ago. I would imagine we'll see him. I'm praying to God we don't see Brock. But in terms of who I did put in my top 4, as I said, they've been telling 2 major stories all along for the last month. Bianca on one side and Daniel Bryan on the other side. And the more he talked about how it's the one thing he's got left to do, it's the one thing he has done, the more he talked about it, the less confident I am in the pick. But then when I look at how it lines up for WrestleMania, you've got Uber Babyface to go against Reigns. I think it just makes sense. That's why I've got Daniel Bryan winning. I had Keith Lee perhaps making a run, maybe getting the most eliminations this year. Now I understand he may not even be there due to some COVID concerns, but that was my thinking going along this. Edge, after that fantastic promo, you got to figure he's going to be out to the end. And the wild card for me was just someone who's had some really entertaining storyline going along that I figure will be around towards the end. Maybe he finishes just outside the final 4, but I put him in there in Big E, the Intercontinental Champion.
All right, so another fun little fact. I don't think anybody who's ever been champion, like an Intercontinental Champion or a United States Champion, I don't think they've ever won it. They placed twice a couple times. I know the Big Show, when Chris Benoit pulled him over, he was United States Champion, and I believe in 2005, what Tyler was talking about. I believe John Cena was United States champion as well. So that's never been done before.
Hogan was champion in 90, right?
What's that?
Hogan was champion in 90, right?
Yeah, but that wasn't. Yeah, he was supposed to. Hogan was, and actually, Randy Savage was champion in '89. He didn't win it. He got tossed early. He didn't make the Final Four. Blame Hogan for that one. Tyler, I think I said I skipped over Gary's picks to go to me, you, and him because we have something very much in common. We're going to be doing tomorrow night. That's we're going to be cheering for the same guy. So we'll do you first, and then we'll confirm Gary's, and then I'll go with my picks right after that. So you have the floor, my friend.
So I wouldn't necessarily say cheering them on, but it's just there's too much writing on the wall for it. You know, we spoke about it in pre-production. You and I have been going back and forth about it all week. It's just there's no way Brock Lesnar's not winning this match. It just makes too much sense. Great graphic. I love that. It's just, you know, really quickly with my Final Four, you know, Big E, obviously, I've been booking him pretty strong lately. I see him this, you know, the Final Four is usually a subliminal way to tell people like this is, you know, we're working with this guy. We want to progress him farther up. Edge and Randy Orton, I could see this setting up their their third match in their trilogy. Obviously, we know last year Edge did the little sneak elimination behind Randy Orton's back. Maybe this year it goes the other way and sets up the Mania match this year. With Brock Lesnar, he dropped the title to Drew McIntyre at WrestleMania last year. With Roman Reigns, now you have Paul Heyman involved. Obviously, everybody knows that Lesnar's a Paul Heyman guy. It just doesn't – it makes way too much sense for him to win, and I hate it. I'm nauseous thinking about it. But the writing is just there for them to do it. I'll take John Cena before I take Lesnar at this point, but it just makes too much sense.
All right, and as I mentioned, Gary's in agreement with you. He's taking Brock Lesnar as well. He's got Daniel Bryan. He's got John Cena also. And he's also got Baron Corbin, our mighty king. He's got him in the Final Four as well. Before I get to mine, I said I kind of let the cat out of the bag who I'm picking because I'm in agreement with these two. For my men's thing, John DeConnie hit the nail right on the head. The first thing I wrote down when I started doing this, Rob Van Dam as a surprise entrant. He left Impact to pursue some projects with WWE, which I'm assuming are done in production. So what better way to promote what you're airing than having the guy actually compete in the match? We know Rob Van Dam is not the Rob Van Dam of 20 years ago, but he's pretty good still. John DeConnie, Katie Forbes with him.
I don't know if she enters the women's rumble, but I'm sure she'll be there to shake.
Yeah, like I say, I don't think she'll be allowed to walk Rob Van Dam down the aisle. A couple other things. I got our conspiracy theorist, our beloved Sami Zayn. Seems like nothing's going to go right for him ever. Everything's always out to screw him. But he's going to get something go his way here. I got Sami Zayn coming in at number 30, but only to last about 10 seconds. I think he's going to get tossed right away. I think there's going to be a huge deal that he wasn't ready or whatever, and it's just going to fulfill like he's finally, yes, Sami's got number, and then he's out. So look for that. That's a small little mild prediction. I got Dominic Mysterio eliminating Baron Corbin. I got some Cesaro. He's going to toss out 5+ here. I'm going to put the over under him at 4.5, and I am going to take the over. I got Mustafa Ali going an early number. I got him going between 30 and 45 minutes. I think Mustafa Ali. I think this will be a good time for him to shine, especially God willing. You know they're setting him up for him and Kofi Kingston at WrestleMania. And then I got Chad Gable eliminating Otis. Go for the Vader bomb. So Otis goes for the Vader bomb, and Gable is just going to push him right over. And there's going to be a lesson there, an Alpha Academy lesson there. Not exactly sure what it's going to be, but that's what I go there. So with my pick, I'm with Tyler. He said everything I was saying, everything's just too. That's a 5-star graphic right there, Uncle Dave. I got Brock Lesnar. It's the story there's too much. Roman Reigns, in order, he's got to slay a dragon. He's never beaten Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania. There's that one, and then if Roman ends up beating Brock, That's just another huge obstacle that will prove Roman's more dominant. Then you got the whole Paul Heyman thing. I think that's just too much. I'd like to see Bobby Lashley make it that far. Maybe a small little showdown with Lesnar. AJ Styles, he was my pick in the way too early WrestleMania card. So I'm going to ride him, not to win anymore, though, because of the whole Brock Lesnar thing I just thought of. But I'm going to throw Daniel Bryan in there as well. Daniel will probably get a late number and be there at the end. We're running out a little close to time here. Sami Zayn is the MJF of WWE. Interesting theory. Okay.
Yeah, he's a much better wrestler than MJF, though.
There you go. Yeah, Booker T is actually, Bad Bunny. Bad Bunny is going to be playing from the Corona commercials. I'm not sure what else he's famous for. But I guess he's going to be doing a song with Booker T. Travis also calling Tyson Fury. That'd be interesting. So let's just, before we get out of here, we're almost about the 2-hour mark. Before we get out of here, I got another list of wrestlers that we could throw out there. See if maybe they'll show up or not. Same thing. I just had Brock Lesnar. Who didn't pick Brock Lesnar? John Smith. You think Brock's going to show up?
Absolutely not.
All right. John DeConnie, Damian Priest.
Yes, I think he will be there.
All right. Tyler, Leon Ruff. That would be fun.
It would be. I'll throw a solid 50-50 on that.
All right. Last year, like I said, Tony Storm was a representative for the NXT UK. NXT UK is taped Ryan, as we all know. You think A-Kid could be in this? That'd be fun.
I'd bet more on Walter.
So, yeah, okay.
Because of the Imperium stuff recently.
John Smith, John DeConnie, I alluded to Rob Van Dam. What do you think?
Yeah, I think he's coming. As a novelty, though.
John DeConnie, Jinder Mahal.
Yeah, I think after the India show they just did, why not?
Tyler, we're going to have a Fiend sighting here.
I think we have a Fiend sighting, but I don't think he's in the match. I think he'll come out like James was saying, come out and maybe be some part of some kind of a distraction.
Yeah, it's exactly. The funny thing was when I watched the 2004 Rumble the other day, is exactly what happened to Kane. Kane buried the Undertaker alive at the Survivor Series. The gong went off during the Rumble. It distracted Kane for him to get eliminated. I think maybe the lights go out or something, and it'll be just a replay of that. Hopefully this time it's not Spike Dudley again, because Spike got beat up the last time he did that. Ryan Joy, Aleister Black.
Yes.
John Smith, you're wearing your shirt right now. El Idolo.
No.
Now, no El Idolo.
No, I'd love to see him come and show up, but I don't think he's coming.
John DeConnie, Seth Rollins.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense that they held him off for this just to get a little surprise for us.
All right, Tyler, your stepbrother, John Cena. You think he'll be in this?
I do.
Okay, and then the one last one, the one that we've been probably waiting for years now, to hear Cult of Personality after the buzzer hits. Is anyone predicting Chick Madnick Punk here?
I know I said that the pocketbook is open. I don't see it here. I think it'll be an advertised appearance if he comes back.
How about the Big Show? What about Big Show?
I could see Big Show, but I disagree with an advertised appearance.
You think it'd be a surprise?
I think whether it's at the Royal Rumble, Raw, SmackDown, there's no way they're going to let people know that he's coming back. It's just the shock factor, the crowd, the ratings. It would be way. Look, with as far as the ratings go, you'd have guaranteed ratings if people knew he was coming back.
Correct.
But you think 5 minutes left in SmackDown, 5 minutes left in Raw, the music hits, everybody flips over really quick. You guaranteed yourself the ratings for the following week as well. People are going to be watching, and chances are they'll be watching to see SmackDown to see if he pops his head in there too. So you can guarantee yourself a little bit of a rating cushion, I think, if it's a surprise. Especially, we were talking about it before. I think we were talking backstage about it with the whole Peacock transaction. The money is there to bring him back. CM Punk said it. Money talks. So I would, that's another, for me, it would be a 50-50 on him too, but I'm leaning more towards no.
Now, this Peacock money, was this like a direct deposit? Like, did they just give him like $11 billion like the other day, and like now he's like just give it to CM Punk? Like, is this like what? How does that work?
I think Vince is getting small sums at a time every time he passes go.
That makes sense.
He'll spend it before he gets it. He's got so much money in the bank. You're good.
Okay.
He's got $3
So
billion.
that will do it for the Royal Rumble, the men's Royal Rumble. So we got 3 guys on Brock Lesnar, 3 guys on Bayley. I have both of them. Hopefully this works out in my favor. Like I said, 31-0, baby. 2021. It'll come crashing down next tomorrow night. On to the giveaway. If you'd like to win this Jim the Anvil Neidhart autograph picture, courtesy of Sideline Sports and Memorabilia, all you have to do is go to this video on YouTube. The link to the YouTube video should be on this Facebook feed if you're watching on Facebook. Hit the subscribe button, RKO that notification bell, and make sure you comment on this video, EWP Anvil, hashtag EWP Anvil. We'll be announcing the winner at 200 subscribers. We are almost there. Please make sure you stay tuned for when we are announcing the winner. The Primetime Rundown, powered by StreamYard and the Eastern Observer, with Joey Jarzenka, Ian Schreier, and Rob DeLuca, is now airing at 6 p.m. on Friday nights as they take you through the world of sports right here on all of the Eastern Observer platforms. For more information, please go to theeasternobserver.com. Tune into the Daily Wrestling News Show Monday through Thursday at 10 a.m. and get your morning cup of joy with our own Ryan Joy and his band of merry co-hosts right here on all of the Eastern Observer platforms. The Body Slam Brigade newsletter comes out every Friday at noon. It is Ryan Joy's written word. It is usually a great toilet read. He has a lot of great insight on the week's recaps of events. This past week was on the Peacock purchase, so please make sure you look into that. The Black Cats NYC, there we go. Who doesn't like free cake? The Black Cats NYC new album, Free Cake, is now available. This is their second album, I believe. Correct, Tyler?
That is correct. This is the second album.
All right, so make sure you go to any of these music outlets, I guess, if you will, for lack of a better term, all these options, YouTube, Pandora, Spotify, anywhere you can get music, you can get Free Cake by the Black Cats NYC. As I mentioned throughout this episode, and especially at the beginning, please go to ProWrestlingPick'em.com to create a pool with your friends, or you can play against us. All 6 of us are in the Essential Wrestling Podcast public pool. It is free to play. It is free to sign up. Or if you wanted to say create a private pool with your friends, have no strangers allowed, you are more than welcome to do that. Well, it is set up for that as well. We have WWE, we have AEW, Impact, and NXT. All of the major wrestling promotions are on ProWrestlingPick'em.com for you to pick from. Please make sure you join up to that today. Also, please follow along the EasternObserver.com, the World Cup of Pro Wrestling, which is being released each and every Thursday. Last week, as pictured here, the U.S. North Division with CM Punk, speaking of CM Punk, leading the charge as pretty much, I guess, the captain of Team Illinois, along with D'Lo Brown and Legion of Doom. They're going to go against the teams from Minnesota, Michigan, and Ohio. So please follow us each week in this 12-week series until an all-time World Cup champion is crowned. Oh, man, I forgot that one. And one last thing, this Monday night, the Essential Wrestling Podcast, I have to stop screwing with the ticker, please. Karl Monemaker will be on the Primetime Rundown, powered by StreamYard, the interview series, which is hosted by Joey Jarzenka. My childhood best friend, he was playing center field. I was in left field in high school baseball. He batted about 5,000, probably the most natural athlete I've ever known in my entire life. Still a close friend of mine today. Please watch Karl Monemaker, the assistant coach of Auburn University, Monday, February 1st at 8 p.m. So, gentlemen, that'll do it. Please make sure that you come into the Essential Wrestling Podcast. Join us this Tuesday. We are on it every Tuesday at 6 p.m. On all of the Eastern Observer platforms, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts. I will be having to take the week off again, as well as Tyler. Ryan Joy will be steering the ship. Please make sure you show him the same love you show all of us each and every week. And he will wrap up the Royal Rumble, especially tonight, on his post-match, his post-show Royal Rumble post-match show. There you go. That's the answer I was looking for. Him and his cousin Travis Severance, they will be on air at 11 p.m. tomorrow night, after the Royal Rumble goes off air, somewhere around the 11 p.m. area. So that will do it for us. I believe I checked all boxes here. I appreciate the person that was trying to help me out with my graphics. You were screwing me up as you were going along, Tyler. For Ryan Joy, for John Smith, for John DeConnie, for Tyler Adelle, this has been the Essential Wrestling Podcast Royal Rumble special. Happy Royal Rumble, everybody. Man,
Rumble, baby.
You can taste the power.